Okay.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I'm with my dear friend, Rodney Hall, who is a fabulous stylist, amazing to work with, and I just love the guy. And so I'm excited for you all to meet him. Rodney, say hi to everyone.
I've never met him before. I don't know who this is.
Here we go.
And we're off.
So, Rodney,
This is
tell us a
great.
little bit about yourself. Where are you
Wow.
from?
I'm from Barbados,
All
a
right.
very small island. You may have heard of this girl, Rihanna.
Mm-hmm.
She is my mother.
Oh, he looks amazing.
I I know. I know. Yeah, I've been here like forever though, like for a really long time. And COVID mask, I'm on the beach. As you can see, we're at the lovely Orchard Beach,
Right. The Bronx Riviera.
the Bronx Riviera. I'm working.
Hey, tell us about the job that you're on really quickly. What's going on there?
Oh man, it is like this really amazing, a really amazing line. And my friend Meredith is opening a store called De La Mare in Rincon, Puerto Rico. So we're shooting her, yeah, exactly. We're shooting her lookbook and images and just all for the collateral today, which is going
Amazing.
to be a lot of fun. It's good to do something creative, especially I feel that we're starved for, especially as creative people, we're kind of starved for being able to do what this thing that we love
Yeah.
in this environment. And I mean all of the environment. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Are
tough.
what are you doing? Is it projects like this that are kind of like scratching that creative itch for you right now? Because it's a bit of a tough.
100%. Like
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Like it has been, I'm doing, I do both on figure fashion and also still life styling, which has been actually really fortunate. I had no desire to do still life when I first started this. Sidebar, I hate children.
I'm assuming they're not on the shoot with you.
Shoot and children, put them together. You get where I'm going.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
no pictures of it. No picture proof.
no pictures. Yeah, um, yeah. So like, I've been doing a lot more on the still life side of things than on figure, and definitely no fashion or anything like that. So it's really kind of like a being able to breathe when you're doing that creative thing that you really enjoy doing. You
Yeah.
know, yeah,
Still
and
life is
get
so
paid
hard
for
and so
it.
meticulous. It's
The what?
still life is exhausting because it's so meticulous. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But I kind of, I didn't realize I had. Okay, sidebar. When I was 5 for my 6th birthday, I wanted confetti, and my parents in Barbados. And like confetti obviously is nowhere to be found in Barbados. And when we found it, it was like so expensive. And they were like, no. But I had crepe paper and I like crepe streamers for
yeah.
decoration. And I cut them into confetti sized pieces.
How long did that take you?
It took me like 4 hours and I ended up having like from using the scissors, I had like calluses from just sitting
Mhm.
down for like 4 hours straight cutting them up. So now doing still life, it reminds me that like I had an obsessive personality from a
Yeah.
very young age, and it fulfills all of that.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
reliving
So
your crepe cutting moments from age 5 all over again.
is that it's yeah, it's really it's a control thing, especially when you're like if you have the creative talent to do something or just the ability to do something, there's
Yeah.
no, you just do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just
You
like,
just push
oh, I
forward.
can't. They won't buy the confetti because it costs that much money. But the confetti basically is cut up crepe paper streamers, cut them up,
Yeah. That's it.
cut it up, and just make it happen. And I
Yeah.
think that should be kind of like I hear a lot of people complaining a lot, which is completely fair. But just find avenues to do that thing that you do as opposed to like I only can do it if the production is like at this level with this much money and all that kind of stuff. It's like, is that why you're doing this job? You're doing it because it has to be on that level, or you're doing this job because it's something that you actually enjoy and love doing? You
Yeah.
just do it. You just do it. That's it.
That's true.
You know?
That is true. And that is interesting because There is the toss up, obviously, especially as you get older. You're like, okay, I need to make a certain amount of income. But at the
Uh,
same time, you do need to make your money, but you also really need to create. If you're that kind of person and you
yeah,
have an artistic drive, you can't stop it. You get irritable if you don't get to do it, you know?
like 100. Like it is. It's almost like dying, not being able to do like things that are creative
Yeah.
and getting paid, being able to afford. Like living in New York, it is not cheap. There's a whole
No.
bunch of overhead expense that we have to do. So doing it and getting paid for it, but also like you kind of have to, especially now, you kind of have to balance because everything is kind of like attacking your soul. I feel a little bit. So you
Hmm.
got to do things to kind of replenish like that inner happiness and wellness and well-being. I don't do yoga, so that's not an option for me.
This is where you're
You
getting
know what
it.
I
This
mean?
is where you're getting it. I
I'm
work.
not the most zen person.
No. But I like that
I
about
haven't
you.
reached nirvana yet.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's cool. That's cool. That does make perfect sense. And that's good, actually. So I would like to ask you, how did you get started in the industry? How did you become a stylist, a fashion stylist?
Oh man,
No, you got to dig back.
it's such a sordid,
Is it
dirty.
sorted?
No,
Is
it's
it a
not.
sorted? Were you seduced?
It's a tale for another channel.
Oh my God.
Let's just say just for fans. No.
Perfect.
No,
Ladies and
honestly,
gentlemen, you can find.
okay. So the school I went to, like I was supposed, my parents lived here in the U.S. and the school I was supposed to come to the U.S. to go to at 11, like there's a crazy exam you have to take in Barbados, and depending on how you do on that exam, you get placed into like various kind of school, various tiers of school,
Mhm.
and I did really well, so I got to go to like the number one school. So as soon as that happened, my parents were like, "Nope, you're gonna stay at home and continue going to school there." That school, the last 2 years of my school was equivalent to the first 2 years of college in the US.
Oh,
Yeah, so I came at 15 and went to college.
you're like Doogie
But there,
Howser.
but you know what the thing is, like everyone in our circle of people I'm going to that school, like it's all like smart kids. Like literally, I'd say like 50% or better of my classmates are went on to study actuarial science, which is the theoretical mathematics science of mathematics.
Mhm.
Um, so that when I got here, like my first degree was pre med. Like obviously, fashion wasn't going to be the thing that I was going to do because if I said to them at 15, "Oh, I want to study something that's artistically based," it would have been a hard no.
Yeah.
Like that wasn't happening. So I did my about 5 years of pre med, but as I was finishing, I was like, I have to live what it is. Like when you're in the US, all of a sudden, like you realize that there are a lot more opportunities. Like you aren't as locked into, and we have to remember that. You
Yeah.
know, there are a lot of places. I mean, like there's a lot of noise and stuff about things the way they are now, but there is really kind of like a level of freedom that you can have while you're here and a freedom to explore that
Mhm.
certain parameters within certain countries, especially my country, it wasn't really supportive of anyone doing anything artistic as a definitive career because it was
Yeah.
seen as folly and you had to just do things that were academically sound. So I did the next best thing that I like, which was bio. So I'm like, oh, I'll do bio pre-med. But once I realized that like I can actually the thing I have always loved fashion and creative and the story of clothing probably since I was like 3 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, like they would you gotta kind of think about it like the biggest thing you would see on a creative and a fashion level would be like a wedding. You know what I mean?
On the
Without
island, that's the
anything
biggest
else,
thing.
like the wedding would be like a great so that they would always grab me as a little kid because I knew how excited I would be whenever there was a wedding to show me the bride because it was
Wow.
the most glamorous. you know what I mean? It
Yeah,
was
thing
the
you saw
height
on the
of
island. That
glamour,
was it.
huh?
Yeah. They went all out. They went all
Yeah, so it'd be like, oh, like they saw how I would react when I saw like the bride. So they were
wow.
always like, oh, there's a wedding. Let's go take them to go see the bride. You know, not knowing that that's what the seeds were being planted for like
Yeah.
clothing and stuff. Then I like finished that and decided to go back to fashion school and I started doing that and decided that's what I wanted to do. We sent my mother immediately into therapy. I'm not even joking.
Oh my
She was just like,
God.
no. Yeah, and I did. I ended up working for the Gap Corporation, and they were going in a different direction in terms of no more body forms and all that kind of stuff. I was going to be a visual merchandise manager, and they were going more into lighting and signage and all this kind of stuff as
Mhm.
the focus of how they do their displays. And we hadn't covered that in school, so I'm like, oh, I'll take a summer class about that at FIT, and kind of before I start doing the job or as I started doing the job, because it was like graduation in May. I started working for the company in June, and I was like, okay, you know what? I can take a class at the same time about what this new direction is. The direction in the syllabus, the explanation of the class was completely not what the class ended up being. I thought it was going to be a class about lighting. It
Mhm.
ended up being a class about lighting for photographs and
Oh.
styling.
Oh.
And all of a sudden, I was in this world. I was being exposed into this world of creativity and doing all these creative projects. And I was just like, I don't want to be all Oprah like, but it was like an aha moment. I was just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like every class I was like ridiculously fulfilled because I was doing all these things that I didn't even really knew existed.
Yeah.
Because in the '90s, styling wasn't like how it is now, where everyone's a friggin' stylist.
Yeah. People didn't know it was a job.
No, there literally was like very few stylists
Yeah.
around. You know, luckily the person who was my instructor, ended up like we kept in contact, and he was like, you should really pursue this, and I was like, freelance, I don't know anything about that, that's ridiculous. But I did, and I ended up like leaving my job. He went back into he stopped being an adjunct and went back into full-time styling, and he was one of the editors for the Womo Vogue, and he asked me if I would be his assistant, and I just was like, yeah, and I did it, and that's how it happened.
That is so cool. I love that.
Isn't that
That is
ridiculous?
amazing. Like an accidental trip, and before you know it, you're an assistant
And here I
also.
am now,
And here you
you
are
know,
now on the
five
Bronx
years later,
Riviera.
5 years later at the
5
Puerto
years.
Rican
I know. And you
Bronx
started even
Riviera.
before. You're an amazing looking 9-year-old.
Thank you. It's a do rag. It pulls everything
The
back.
two rag really tightens it up.
If I unleash this do rag, it's like a Sharpay. It all just like a series of folds, just dripping like a dolly wax. Sad but
Awesome.
true.
It's just
Sad.
like that.
Uh-huh.
So what advice would you give kids who are looking to do what it is that you do? You know what I mean? Because
Oh, excuse me.
there are a lot of kids out there who are still fascinated by and are into the business. And it's not like when you and I came in, like you said, how we knew fashion shows happened and we knew photo shoots happened, but nobody really knew what happened behind the scenes. Like now everyone knows. But what
Yeah.
advice would you give to do it well, to do it right? What would be your advice?
Learn as much as possible.
Mm.
You know what? I love the new generation and the new generation of people who are doing it, but I also hate them because I feel that there is I don't know, like you can speak to this as well. I feel that there is such a level of arrogance that is happening where everyone thinks that they know it all, and no one wants to listen, and no one wants to take time to train or really kind of like be tutored underneath of someone else. Like they know it. They got it. They've seen it on Instagram. They can dress themselves. That means that they can dress you. I
Mm.
have no respect for anyone who like dresses or does things that is a reflection of their own personal style, that's way too easy. If you can look at, excuse me, if you can look at a situation and is so far removed from who you are or whatever you do, I think the challenge is to get into the mind of what is needed and be able to create that.
Yeah.
Not just like, oh, I live in Brooklyn and they want a Brooklyn aesthetic and I can do that and that's all that you can do. You can't do anything else. To me, I'm not impressed by that. And I wish that more of them will do a little bit more of knowing your history. It doesn't mean that you have to repeat the history, but it's just like know the history of things. Because many times I have conversations with kids and their points of reference is things that are on Instagram, and there are things that like I actually had to do it with my niece. She was like showing me all this Balenciaga stuff that she liked and like all this stuff that was really kind of cool. And I was just like, that's all, like literally, which is like my favorite designer of all time. The reason why I'm in fashion is Margiela because it's a cerebral approach to fashion.
Hmm.
And all the stuff that, God, my eyes are burning. All the stuff that I see now is so steep. It's like people just went into that Margiela archives
Yeah.
and just took pieces and redid them and called them their own. And I'm like, no, that's Margiela. Or that's Walter Van Berendock. That's Wild and Lethal Trash. It's usually like the Belgian six that they keep repeating. And I'm like, you can't get up on a pedestal and say, like, look at this amazing stuff that I'm doing when it's already been done because
Yeah.
you don't know your history.
Yeah.
You know,
That is it. You
I feel that
can't
any
reinvent the
art
wheel.
school that you go to, one of the first things they always tell you is like everything that you learn when you start working, you have to unlearn it. You can't unlearn things if you haven't learned it,
Hmm.
you know? So do a little bit more of that, kids.
Yeah, I feel
Yeah.
that. I
Because to
feel that
me,
it's
to you,
know your history. I get that. And also,
you don't have to repeat it, but know your history because to your friends, you may sound cool, but the people who know otherwise, you're like, you sound like an idiot.
yeah, it's true.
You sound stupid.
And you'll limit how far you can go if you're because the people who are still operating at the top or doing the best jobs are ones who do know
They
long.
know.
They
They
knew what
know
was
now.
happening pre-Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, and they also know what's happening now on Instagram. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like
Yeah.
people like I have like young kids. Like right now, I'm wearing Gypsy Sport,
Very cool.
right? Which is kind of like a really kind of Insta friendly, like you know, I don't want to say hype beastie, but like it's very much of the moment.
Hmm.
One of those kind of brands. And I have young kids come up to me and like, oh wow, you're in Gypsy Sport, blah blah. I'm like, oh okay, yeah. But at the same time, I know about Gypsy Sport, but I also know about Charles James and all that kind of stuff. They
Yeah.
don't know about that kind of stuff. They only know what's now. So
Yeah.
you're almost at a deficit if you don't know both.
Yeah, it's true. I do think that a lot of the younger kids coming up right now, though, are down to learn it. Like I feel like the
I
generation
hope
just
so.
before, the people who were assisting were a bit more arrogant in that way. Whereas I feel like kids now are down to put in the work. Like the assistants that I have now that are newer are like down to
This must
learn.
be like a newer crop that's coming in because
There's a newer crop.
the ones like maybe like 4 or 5 years ago,
Yeah.
they literally from me from my end of the industry was just like their acumen really kind of was dependent on the amount of followers that they had and the amount
Yeah.
of feedback that they got from their followers telling them how
Yeah.
everything that they do is amazing.
Yeah.
And it becomes a little bit of a tale of the emperor's new clothes. You're just like, um, that really isn't, it's not informed. Like what you're doing is not really informed. So you're only impressing like a pool of idiots,
Yeah,
as a
the only reason I don't get mad at them, or the reason why I understand it, is for a brief instant there were a ton of people making tons of money doing stupid stuff online. There's a
yeah,
kid who makes $1 million a year unboxing toys. So I understand where they think, let me dive in quick. And
yeah.
I feel like the generation that's coming up after them sees that that didn't work, and is like,
Right.
I need to put the work in and learn to do it old school. It's
That makes me
just,
happy.
yeah, I
Makes me
think so
happy.
too. And there's an approach to that and everything. The way people are like doing slow brew coffees and every little thing is like, I want a less digital and more authentic approach to my career. So I feel like
Yeah.
this
Just
generation of
just
kids are
be
doing
well
it.
rounded and don't be like don't and again like I like you I also get it, but I also become like a little bit frustrated with like some of it just feels lazy and I don't like laziness. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
same.
It just feels lazy,
Yeah, just
you
put the
know?
work in. It'll pay off. It'll pay off.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
if not, fuck 'em. I'm sorry.
Hey, I told you. But I understand you're in pain. Do you want to go wash your eye out?
No, it's sand. It's fine.
Well, you are on the beach. We're pretending it's Barbados.
Oh, no. Barbados looks nothing like this horrible place.
Are you telling me that Barbados and the Bronx don't look the same? It's weird.
They look exactly the same, like night and like daytime the same.
Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
I get it. That's really
Yes.
awesome. Oh
What
my.
about you? How did you start?
Oh, that's for another interview. I'm gonna let somebody interview me for this one day.
Is it
That'll be
going to be
fun.
just for
I might
fans
have you
too?
do it.
Just for fans.
I'm OnlyFans, my OnlyFans.
Yes,
Brittany,
yes, yes.
you're amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking
Oh,
time
for
out of your
sure.
day just to show how baller he is. He's so busy. He had to take like a window out of his shoot day to come talk to us today.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Yeah, let's go with it.
Let's go with that.
Ronnie,
Let's go
thank you
with that.
so much. You're awesome. Pull your
Thank
thing up close
you.
to your nose.
Bye. Sorry for the
Uh,
mask and my burning eye, but
It's sliding down. Pull it up. I just want you to be safe.
Me too. Same, same. Now I'm gonna go get some spaghetti. Don't ask me
Oh,
why there's spaghetti at the beach, but
that
if you're
sounds
Dominican,
messy.
you get it.
That sounds messy. Thanks for doing this, dude. I appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. Bye.
Bye.